Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel name Learning to Learn. We have completed various banks and types of banks in the last lecture. What today we are going to focus on is RBI. RBI is the Reserve Bank of India, so that would be our main objective for today. One second. Okay. So we are talking about RBI today. Before going further to understand what is RBI, what are its functions, let me give you a quick background related to RBI, that what exactly is RBI. RBI is considered as the Central Bank of India. Now, every country needs to have a central bank because the central bank helps to monitor, control the entire banking system of the country. So if I talk about specifically India, we have RBI, but if I talk about other countries, they do have their own central banks. So here the central bank is also known as the banker's bank, which you need to remember. Now here what I'm doing is I'm just giving you the key points or the highlighted points which are necessary for you to remember in your examination. It could be any kind of examination you're giving, but if RBI is the topic you're going for or RBI is the question asked, you need to remember these points very nicely or in a very detailed manner. Let's start. So central bank is also known as the banker's bank, means it is the bank for all the banks. So suppose if I just give you an example here, one second, so sorry. Okay, let me just rub it off now. Suppose if I talk about a particular person, okay, this particular person is X and he needs money. So if he needs money, what he does, he goes to a particular bank so that the bank can provide him the loan. Whereas what if the bank requires money? Then where will the bank go? The bank will go to the central bank of that particular country. Certain times what happens is the condition of the country or the condition of the economy is not so good, and when the conditions are not so good, there is a chance that the bank does not have the required funds, and if they don't have the required funds, they can go to central bank for help. So that is why central bank is also known as banker's bank. Means all the bank, when they need money, they reach out to the central bank, that is the RBI. Okay, so central bank is also called as banker's bank. That is the first thing you need to remember in any country. In India, RBI is treated as the central bank. But what if we talk about USA? In USA, the Federal Reserve is their central bank in the USA. And if I talk about the Bank of England, then that is the UK central bank. So here every country needs to have a central bank so that that particular bank will help to organize or to monitor, to regulate the entire banking system of that particular country. This bank makes various monetary policies, decides the rate of interest, controls the other banks in the country, manages the foreign exchange rate, the gold reserves, etc. So if I talk about the major functions related to the money or the monetary system, who is responsible for that? The central bank would be responsible for that. In India, it would be the RBI. RBI would be held responsible for all these kind of functions. We are going to study the functions in a detailed manner, but not today. Today I'm just going to give you an introduction to what RBI is. So RBI is the bank of all the banks. So it is also known as the Bankers Bank, and it is the apex authority in India. Means if I talk about India, then who in India, in banking system, who would be the topmost authority or who would be the apex authority? The apex authority or the topmost authority in India would be RBI. RBI will take all the decisions related to the major topics in India. First thing. Now, let us try to understand a bit of history, like from where RBI came. Okay, so here, if I talk about RBI, was introduced in the year 1934 with the Act. Okay, so there was an act passed in the parliament, and then this RBI came into existence. But what before 1934? Who used to do the functions of RBI? Then we can talk about the Imperial Bank. There was a bank called as Imperial Bank which combined three different banks. For that, I have a shortcut for you, that is BBM. So, Bank of Bombay, Bank of Bengal, and Bank of Madras. These three banks were combined, and when these three banks combined, they made a bank called the Imperial Bank, which was introduced in the year 1921. So from 1921 till 1934, till the act came, who was responsible for all these functions, like producing the currency and monitoring all the banks of India? Imperial Bank was responsible. So this is a bit of history which you need to remember here. Let me show you the history here. Okay. Hilton Committee or Royal Commission recommended that we need to have a bank which would be the Central Bank of India, or known as the RBI, to make, you can say, to become the apex. So RBI was introduced in 1934, but before that Imperial Bank was there. I think I should have the, yes, here it is. The Imperial Bank 1921 combined the functions of commercial bank and a central bank until RBI was established. So before RBI came into existence, the Imperial Bank did all the work. Secondly, the Bank of Bengal, Bank of Bombay and Bank of Madras, until they were amalgamated into one by forming Imperial Bank. So this two important topics becomes very crucial for RBI. Before RBI came into existence, Imperial Bank used to do all these functions. Imperial Bank was introduced in the year 1921. So here, okay. Now if I talk about the entire series, what happened in 1921? 1921, Imperial Bank came into existence, and Imperial Bank acted as the central bank. Okay, this was introduced in the year 1921. Imperial Bank was made with the combination of three different banks, that was Bank of Bombay, Bank of Bengal and Bank of Madras. These three banks came together so that an Imperial Bank could be formed. In the year 1934, RBI Act was passed. So after RBI Act, in 1935, RBI came into existence with the capital of 5 crore rupees. So this is the major thing which you need to remember, and let me show you the important point. Okay, here. The committee which recommended that we need to have RBI is called as the Hilton Commission or the Royal Commission, which was introduced in the year 1920. They recommended that we need to have this kind of body in the year 1926. The Act of RBI came in 1934, whereas RBI was established the next year after the Act in 1935 with the initial capital of 5 crore rupees. So the RBI had the initial capital of 5 crore rupees. The main head office of RBI was in Kolkata previously, but in 1937 it got changed in Mumbai. So to summarize this entire thing, let me draw a diagram for you that would be more helpful for you to understand. So in year 1920, a Hilton committee was formed which recommended that we need to have RBI. But in 1920, this committee was formed in the year 1920. Okay, in 1921, Imperial Bank was formed with the help of three banks: Bank of Bombay, Bank of Bengal, and Bank of Madras. In the year 1926, this particular committee, this Hilton committee, this Young Commission, they suggested that we need to have a separate bank. Means with Imperial Bank, we cannot do all the functions. We need to have a completely different bank. That was suggested, I'm so sorry, in the year 1926. In the year 1934, RBI Act was passed, and in the year 1935, RBI was established. So this is the entire year-wise classification. And what happened in the year 1937? In the year 1937, the head office of RBI was changed from Kolkata to Mumbai. So previously in the year 1935, when RBI was established, it had its head office in Kolkata, but in 1937 it changed its head office to Mumbai. The initial capital of RBI was 5 crore rupees. So you need to remember this slide in a very detailed manner. You cannot miss out on anything because any question can be easily asked from this particular slide. So here we have completed the history of RBI, like how RBI came into existence. Now there might be one question in your mind, ma'am, RBI came into existence in the year 1935. Then what happened to Imperial Bank? Just think. If you have an idea, mention in the comment section. If you don't worry, we are going to I'm going to explain that in the next lecture. Okay, bye everyone, take good care of yourself, study hard.